I have a point of order under Order 8 through 4 and 7 on matter of public urgent importance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has to do with exclusion of Imo stakeholders and oil-producing communities of Imo State in the current stakeholders meeting between the federal government and the Niger Delta region. Mr. Speaker, this exclusion has caused a lot of tension in Imo.
In favor of the motion, say aye. Those against it, say nay. Aye.
Honorable members, my name is Goodluck Opiah at Uguta and Oru West. This is a motion on the exclusion of Imo State oil producing areas from the Niger Delta federal government stakeholders meeting. The House is worried that the problems of militancy in the Niger Delta region, occasioned by age-long neglect of the area by the government and oil-producing companies, have affected the economy of the country and the social well-being of the people of the Niger Delta area, while previous measures aimed at solving the problems have not yielded satisfactory results. The House commends the recent effort by the federal government in finding solution to the problems of the Niger Delta region. The House notes that the problem of the Niger Delta region is not about a mere concern or the problem of a geographical or geopolitical area, but rather the problem of the oil-producing states of Nigeria. The House notes also that Imo State has been an oil-producing area since 1955. In fact, the first oil discovery was in Iho-Dimeze, in the present-day Ikeduru local government area of Imo State, though not in commercial quantity, before the subsequent discoveries in Oloibri in commercial quantity and other areas in the Niger Delta, in Imo State in 1956, in Oguta and Ebema inclusive. The House notes that the problem of environmental pollution and degradation associated with oil exploration and exploitation is the same in the 9 oil-producing states of Nigeria. The House observes.
Honorable Safana, come back.
The House
Safana, come back to your seat.
That the oil-producing local government areas of Ohajebema and Uguta were among the areas designated as special area by the colonial administration via the famous Wilkes Commission of 1953 because of its peculiar terrain, underdevelopment, deprivations, and natural endowment. The House is worried that Imo State has always been ignored and excluded in the scheme of things in matters relating to the problems of the oil-producing states. Indeed, it has always struggled to belong to the special federal government developmental programs and policies aimed at addressing the issues of oil-producing areas of the Niger Delta, such as the establishment of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in 1999 to 2000, the creation of the Coastal States Committee of the Niger Delta in 2005 and 2006, and the Amnesty Program of 2010. The House is further worried that there is a major tension in the oil-producing communities of Imo State following the recent stakeholders' parley with the federal government, which once again excluded the oil-producing stakeholders of Imo State, thereby denying them the possible gains of that initiative. The House, therefore, resolves, 1, to urge the federal government to immediately include all oil-producing communities of Imo State and all oil-producing stakeholders in the current steps aimed at finding lasting solutions to the problems of the Niger Delta region. The House also resolves to direct the Ministries of Petroleum Resources and that of Niger Delta Affairs to ensure the inclusion of Imo State in all matters relating to oil-producing communities. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Namobi.
Very important because it is in the interest of this nation, it is in the interest of Imo State, and in particular the interest of the oil-producing communities in Imo State. Mr. Speaker, it is so important because if the matter at stake is not properly addressed, the already polarized Niger Delta region will have a major crisis on its hands. Mr. Speaker, it's not in doubt that Imo is an oil-producing state. In fact, before now, Imo was a major oil-producing state, ranking about 3 out of the 9 states at a time. Like has been said, Mr. Speaker, oil was actually first found in Imo State. The Dutch company Shell Daiki started operation from Imo in the present location called Shell Camp in Owerri. They started oil seismic assessment from there and discovered oil first in Iho before it extended to other parts of the Niger Delta, including Oloibiri. Mr. Speaker, the oil exploration in the Niger Delta has its negative consequences, which includes the environmental degradation, the environmental pollution, the erosion of soil fertility, the destruction of aquatic lives, and so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, all those negative consequences applies to all the oil-producing states in Nigeria, Imo State inclusive. Mr. Speaker, it's saddening, therefore, that whenever the issue of oil and oil matters is raised, Imo State is put at the back seat. I will begin to wonder whether the quality of oil that is produced from Imo is inferior. Of note is that in 1999, under the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, the initiative to start the NDDC came up. We struggled because Imo was excluded in that initiative. And then we struggled and struggled. We fought all the way from home to come to Abuja for the National Assembly to include Imo as a member of NDDC. In 2005 to 2006, Obasanjo administration once started what is called the coastal state of the Niger Delta. Again, Imo was excluded. Once again, we struggled to be made part of that coastal state, even though at the end nothing came out of it. In 2009-2010, the federal government again, under late Yaradua, started the amnesty program. Again, Imo State was excluded. Mr. Speaker, I was in the House of Assembly then. I had the opportunity of leading the delegation from Imo and spent 1 week in Abuja for Imo to be made part of that program. And this trend has continued. The current parley between the federal government and the Niger Delta stakeholders is so major and important that the gains will be enormous. Imo State was not part of that negotiation. This is most unfair. This is something that has to be looked into. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, the oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta in Imo State are very, very aggrieved. If nothing is done, that anger will lead to a major crisis that will further aggravate the already bad situation in the Niger Delta. Mr. Speaker, it is important I make this note. I am sure that Imo has the greatest number of oil-producing companies in Nigeria. In Imo, you have the Chevron. In Imo, you have the others. In Imo, you have Shell. In Imo, you have the MPDC. In Imo, you have Ajib. All these oil companies operate and leave behind the negative consequences of oil exploitation. And we suffer it, and we bear it. And because we are peace-loving, when it comes to sharing the benefit of the oil, we are neglected. It is for this reason, Mr. Speaker, that I bring this motion so that the two prayers have to be looked into. Number one is for the federal government to be urged to take Imo and Imo oil-producing stakeholders immediately into the current arrangement, because we envisage that this is supposed to be an arrangement that will bring major gain to the oil-producing communities. It is sad that we cannot be in a place where discussions, including the allocation of oil blocks, will be taken, and the Igbo people are not there. The Igbo oil-producing communities are not aware. Mr. Speaker, the discussion also includes developmental programs that will amount to trillions of naira. This, our people must be part of. Our people in Ohajibema, our people in Lubuta. Mr. Speaker, that is the kernel of this motion. I urge honorable members to please do support this motion so that our people will have the benefit of oil exploration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Wasai.